Good morning, everybody, from Soul Bridge Holistics. It's a cold morning with hot coffee. This is my peace t-shirt because it's the season of giving. Just thought I'd share that with you for a second. And then I'll move you all a bit closer so that we can have a more intimate conversation, which is not something we get these days because this is the season of AI. It is a time when I've literally watched people's videos now and they say that they're using teleprompters. And I have a friend who's in college right now who's calling me to say, can you look at my speech? And she has it all written down. And then she also has a PowerPoint to go with it. So when she's intending to give her speech, she's going to be staring up at the PowerPoint, which is, just a version of a teleprompter, and staring at her speech so she can go, today I'm going to talk to you about dog collars. As you can see from my PowerPoint slide, there are several types of dog collars. I want you to pay attention to why I just said As your brain is thinking of a shift in the conversation, as you're thinking about the next thing to say, as you're thinking about the kind of content that you want to share with the world, there's going to be a pause. Some people are trained not to do the but you're going to see some weird silence or stuttering or something else that happens because people have to memorize speeches in order to avoid using And this is not a speech that I'm giving you today. And so why matters in speech? It's a very deep conversation, and we're in a society that wants to appear perfect all the time. It's sociopathic. And you're asked to have a throwaway wardrobe, buy new clothes every day, look fresh all the time, put all your stuff away. Remember I told you that mental illness is, there's a sign of mental illness when people want all white furniture and they want everything in their house to be put away. That is a kind of OCD. And OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. Society can make people OCD by trying to judge you so harshly that you feel embarrassed to be a real person. And I come from a time when a rap group was a group of people who stood around talking to each other. That was originally called Circling Up. It's Native American. But later on, in San Francisco and Berkeley, when rap groups became popular and people sat around having discussions, that's way before rap got taken into another context and used only in music. It's kind of like the rainbow being put on a rainbow flag, and then it's a gay identity when the rainbow belongs to everybody and it's actually the chakra system. So you can't own the rainbow and try to put a political motivation on something that's existed for a long time. Is a reassignment, just like the symbol for Zen, Nirvana, beauty, became the Nazi symbol. They hijacked a symbol that had a completely different meaning. The use of the word and I can deep dive into this because I was a linguistics major, is a transition point in your thinking. If you go back in my other videos and you see me using every time I'm doing it, it's because I'm trying to think about which content I want to present next. It's interesting that I was just looking at something about speech classes on the internet. I wonder if I even saved that. But they were talking about how there's different kinds of speech, like platform to an audience, or marketing, or trying to do a point of view, trying to do a persuasion, trying to get people to buy your point of view. I'm not sure that I'm doing that. What I'm trying to do is attract my own soul tribe. And by doing what I do, by presenting my own content, I'm attracting my family to me. And I'm watching videos of other people who I feel are in my soul family also. It's interesting that in the age of communication, when we can attract anything we want, people are choosing not to communicate and they're shutting down. So the people who make comments, like please do make comments below, but make them productive comments, not just bashing. Because the people who are going to make negative comments are basically making a statement about themselves. I'm bored, I have nothing to do. I'm bashing people who do have something to do. I won't share my perspectives with the world, but I'm going to bash yours because I don't like myself. It becomes self-reflection, right? It becomes projection. My daughter has autism, and so she can't read facial expressions sometimes, and she has problems interpreting emotions sometimes, and she has to understand why people do these perplexing things that they do just to be mean-spirited. And I have to explain to her, sometimes people are just mean. And when I was in school, they were called bullies. A bully is somebody who just wants to get the better of you to make themselves feel better about themselves. And there's a lot of people who have tried to deal with bullying, but basically a bully doesn't feel like they have spiritual awareness, that they're in touch with God, no knowledge of spirit guides or angels. They just feel like they're lost in the world. They're kicking the can down the road, they're kicking cats, they're pulling branches off of trees. I watched some teenagers walk past and pull all the flowers off my canna lilies just because they could, like just for the effect of having a conversation with somebody else and yanking the flowers off my plants. And if you stop them, because I actually did, and ask them what they're doing, they have no awareness. That person didn't understand they were destroying flowers. They're completely ungrounded, unaware, out of touch with their own bodies. And they're creating chaos in the world because of the lack of awareness. I told you earlier that a person who's in a psychotic state will stab themselves or stab others because they have no awareness of pain. They don't even know that they're causing pain to themselves. And I think that sometimes a bully is the same way. They're creating pain because at least it's an emotion. It is something. To have a state of negativity is better than no state at all, because one step lower than that is complete numbness. So if you talk to a psychiatrist, they'll try and get you into a state of anger, because anger is going to be one step higher. At least you're in your first chakra, then you're in your body, you're feeling something at all. But what you want to do is start raising yourself up, raise yourself up, raise your awareness up, so that you are feeling all those chakras, resonating with your chakras. You can actually balance your own chakras. I'm going to be doing a video very soon about running your energy. And I'll also talk a little bit about balancing the chakras, because it's something that a person can do for themselves. It's like my mom used to go to the chiropractor and she would adjust her back. And then I learned how to adjust backs. And so now me and my roommate just switch off, adjust my back, and you pop it back in. But how much does a chiropractor cost? Yeah, so you don't need to do that. And also if you're at the gym or you're doing yoga and you're adjusting your body every day, you'll get to a point where you don't need to have that outside intervention to do those adjustments. And you start to create body awareness. You can feel yourself in time and space. I feel myself sitting in the chair. I feel my feet on the ground. It's a daily exercise that you should have to verify that you're actually grounded and you're in your body, because it will help you with your breathing. It helps you with your circulation. It helps you with your brain capacity and the ability to be clear. Another thing people do when they're saying is it's evidence that you're not using a teleprompter. I watched a young girl, young in her 20s, on YouTube talking about how she wants to grow her channel and she wants to look perfect. And yeah, she's standing there with her beautiful makeup on and her curled hair from her curling iron. And she probably spent an hour choosing her wardrobe and, trying to figure out how to stand. It's amazing when I'm in the gym. I see everyone walking around with cameras. These women wearing really tight clothes, constantly taking selfies of themselves in every position. It's like I love myself so much that I can't breathe without taking a picture of myself. It's a very vain kind of thing to do. It's self-absorption. Well, you can say that person might be in their body, but they're also service to self now, aren't they? They're not service to other, because they're only concerned about what they're doing, the state of their body, how they appear to others, how they appear to themselves, and you're having a love affair with yourself. Good for you. I do believe that people should be healthy, and it's lovely that we have human beings who want to keep themselves in good shape and are visually beautiful. But I'm telling you, you're not going to be visually beautiful forever. You will be to God. You will be to your dog. You might be to your children. But even children can tell when grandpa's losing his hair, or dad lost all the hair on his head, so now he's grown a beard. I like to call it the upside down head, because now there's no hair up here, all the hair is down here. I don't know why men do that. They feel a compulsion to suddenly have something on their head, so they're going to fill it with a beard. The other thing is being real, being authentic, having permission to make mistakes, having permission to be imperfect. You need to be caught off guard in the world to up your game, to make sure that you keep learning, to make sure that you don't become a know-it-all. Teenagers say, oh yeah, I know it all, and then they grow up and realize they never did know it all. It was the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Time for some coffee, people. I have to say in my videos that everything I say is my opinion. But I'm old enough to have a doctorate and a background with research. And I'm an avid reader. I am constantly reading. You could say that I have an addiction to knowledge, but really I have a fascination. There is a channeler who brings through messages from a being called Bashar. Very interesting to watch those channeled messages from Daryl Anka, and I recommend looking that up. And that being, Bashar says, follow your highest excitement. In everything that you do, follow your highest excitement. If you travel a road and you get to the end of it and it no longer excites you, then find something else that excites you and follow that to the fullest that you can until you burn out on that and it no longer excites you, and then find your highest excitement again. Isn't that a great piece of advice? And actually, you'll find a lot of other philosophies or religions that have similar things. I think Jewish people love education, and they relish, being on top of their game. Chinese children send their kids to school to get a really full education, to have a grasp of being productive in society. Indian children are taught to become really intelligent students and ask deep questions. And the American system doesn't so much encourage intelligence or being a productive member of society as much as they seem to encourage independence and creativity. Well, okay, it's great. We're an independent and creative society. That's necessary, but so is accountability, and so is being an adult and paying your bills and acting your age and becoming productive so that you feel that you can make a difference, so that you feel like you're walking your own life path. I will be going into what an ephemeris is in another video so that I can help you guys to find out what your life path is in case you don't know how to use an ephemeris. It's a great tool to use, and there are websites where you can find it for free. And so it does help to understand why you were born in this specific time, at this specific date. It's amazing when you're older and you look back, you'll suddenly get it. You'll go, okay, I understand why I was born at that time. Because for me, I'm a change agent, and I was born right in the middle of a revolutionary period, many kinds of revolutions. We were integrating, we had white bus drivers and black bus drivers with their kids from their schools, integrating kids by driving them across town to other schools, and we were doing integration runs. Martin Luther King, when I was just a baby, but all this stuff was just happening around me, was talking about, I have a dream that someday a man will be known not by the color of his skin, but the content of his character. And you know how deeply that affects me every time I look around and I see all these YouTubers, and they're just brilliant, and they're creating their channels, and they're being all that they can be. They're following their highest excitement. They are out there creating content on something that they love, and it doesn't matter if it's tomato farming or quail production. They're out there doing what they love, and I guarantee you somebody's going to love your content. No matter who you are, no matter what your content's about. My brother is fascinated by rebuilding engines. He's fascinated by football games. He's fascinated by the stock market nowadays. And somebody is out there creating videos on that. I have a friend who's in Algeria. He's fascinated by the stock market. He's fascinated by geology. There are going to be people producing content about that. I have a friend who's in Morocco, and he does desert tours. And there are people who are looking up desert tours. And before I was in the desert, there's no way I would have thought that that's a lovely place to be. But when I stepped onto that Sahara sand and I smelled the air, you know what? You feel like you're at the beach. If you think back a minute when the earth did its tilt and all the water sloshed, and you see seashells in bizarre places like on the ground in Texas, and you realize that was a seabed, it was underground. It's weird to think that that Sahara sand is actually beach sand and that there may have been water there at one point. But you look at that beautiful sand and set feet in it, and it's just like being at the beach. And suddenly I had this great appreciation for those palm trees and that beautiful orange sand that just, you know, we talk about our amber waves of grain, but they have golden waves of sand. And the more you travel, the more you get in touch with other cultures, the more you understand what fascinates other people, or you understand the things that other people love, and whatever their visions are for things, just getting out and talking to people can connect you to hobbies that you never thought you would be connected to. I took technology classes for my master's degree once, and I took educational technology leadership. And I went in there and I said, I don't understand computers. I'm not sure how to use technology, but I want to. I want to understand that very much. So I'm signing up for this major so that you will teach me, kind of sarcastically, right? And they said, we guarantee you that when you're done with this major, you will understand technology. And yeah, we started with zeros and ones. I learned to build HTML web pages. I learned to do C++ code. I learned to make PowerPoints from scratch. I learned how to use all the kinds of technology, editing tools for video, multimedia, audio. I learned how to put software into computers. I learned how to take the hard drive out and change the RAM chips and do all those things to computers. I learned how to use technology, and it was fascinating the whole way. And now I have this setup in my office with the speaker and the editing tools and the camera, and I'm very proud of myself that I did that because it was very empowering for me. I'm not doing it for ego, I'm not doing it to impress anybody. I'm only doing it because I am living my highest excitement. Now I'm getting into mini book publishing. And as many times as I talk to publishers, you know, they won't tell you their prices. So there was Spine, there was Lulu, there's even Amazon. But of course, you know, once they have your book and it's registered to them and they're helping you copyright it, of course, but I can do that myself. I know how to look up an ISBN number and assign it to my book. I know how to do a trademark. Soulbridge Holistics has a registered trademark and it's copyrighted. I know how to do those things because I already looked those things up. I know how they're done. But every journey starts with a single step, right? You go, I wonder how you can do this, and then you start doing it, and then you figure it out. The definition of a college or a university was supposed to be a gathering of great minds into one location to share intellect. So all the great minds would get together. They'd all have those rap groups, right? They'd sit around and they would talk about things, document stuff, create books, share materials. It is a fast-track way to learn something when you have all the experts get together and they have all the tools around them. And everyone gets to see it, use it, touch it, and they all learn together. And that's what we were doing in those computer labs, going, I don't understand why this crashed. I don't understand why it's running so slow. I don't understand, and then I learned all the shortcuts. Here's how you restart this computer. Here's how you get into the system to look at the settings. Here's what those settings mean. Here's how you take a new computer that they just totally junked it with a lot of software that you don't even need. Let's figure out which ones we need and which ones we don't need, and we're going to trash the ones I don't need because I don't need them using up my space on my hard drive. It's very empowering now. And I actually heard someone make a comment like, oh, well, your degree was 10 or 20 years ago, so it's expired. It doesn't mean anything anymore. I kid you not, okay? That's just a sabotage type of question. When somebody says, is your degree old? Did it expire? Because degrees are a foundation for creating your aspirations. It's foundation. And foundation material is not going to change. If you go into a law class right now and they start teaching you Greek and Latin so that you understand what the prefixes and suffixes of words are, and you start to understand sayings that have been around you all the time, like even what's written on a coin. The coin has Latin on it. Does anybody actually know what that means? Because these things that we see all around us. The other thing is, when you're in school, there's a point in time where they decided not to teach cursive anymore. Laugh about that, okay? And people started posting all these kids who can't sign their signatures when it says sign your name and they print and they go, we didn't ask you to print, we asked you to sign. They can't sign a check, they can't write a check, and they can't read, is it the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the stuff that was all originally written by Thomas Jefferson and in his ink pen. The whole thing is written out, we the people, the whole entire thing is handwritten in script. And now we have a whole generation of kids who can't read the foundation papers for our own country. Tell me you find that funny. So there are certain things that we should not be changing. Certain things about communication, certain things about our basic rights, certain things about our foundations. And when you mess with speech, when you mess with communication, when you put guidelines on how people can talk or not talk, that right there should be an area where you hesitate for a minute. Do I want to write this whole speech down and have the man with the pleasant, deep British accent read my whole speech for me so that there's not any uhs in it? Am I embarrassed of my own voice? I've actually heard people say that they hate their voice. I went, okay, well, my voice is not like somebody else's. And I guess it's just a matter of, if you look at people's voices enough and you actually think about them, you'll go, well, I like this one more than that one, or I like that. But it's like listening to bird songs outside. Do you think birds are sitting around saying, I hate my voice, or I wish I could tweet like that bird over there? I can tell you, when I go to the gym, they always seem to be playing disco music with a really hard beat. And there's always some woman with a high squeaky voice singing. And my daughter said, in some cultures, they're encouraged to sing with high squeaky voices. I went, I know, but this is English and it's supposed to be music that is going to inspire you to work out. And for some reason, high squeaky voices aren't doing it for me. They They should exchange that with some lower voices or some male voices or some different types of singing. But this is a point where you get into preferences and niches and how everybody has their own types of realities that they live in. And so obviously there's something on automatic replay where it's playing the same genre, the same singers, and they all seem to have that high squeaky voice. And I guarantee you the guy at the front desk has preloaded the music, and that is his preference. He's playing what he likes. So everybody's going to be walking a different life path. We are all not cookie cutters. We are specific to our life path. You have several planets that are outlining everything. Your motivation, your energy level. Then you have the country that you're in, the speech patterns that you'll use, the dialect you'll have, the language that you'll speak, and then you have the family that you're born into. The kinds of money that your family has that kind of sets you in a place in society, and your expectations of how rich you can get, and the people that you're interacting with, the changes that you will make. It's interesting that somebody was quoting Jesus once, and they said, in the new earth, when things reverse, the janitor will become the mayor. And I went, that's very interesting. Why would a janitor want to become the mayor? You know, the guy who's standing there watching everything go by, and he listens to everyone talk, and he's in everyone's business, and they all wave hi to him, and they all talk to him, but they really don't think much of his status or his title. And they ask themselves, that guy couldn't be very intelligent because he's just a janitor, right? And ask yourself, if you need to pay your bills right now, wouldn't you take a job doing anything? And the president could be a janitor. I think we really could switch off positions. Didn't Eddie Murphy already make a movie like that, where people switch off and suddenly the guy on the street is the business exec and the exec gets to be the guy on the street? And yes, life will work like that. You can find yourself in any of those positions. Don't let people shame you about being employed or unemployed or younger or older, or the job that you do, or the thing that you're aspiring to do, or the changes that you make. Don't let people shame you about your life path. It's not their business. And it all kind of works out in the end. They say all roads lead to Rome, and we know where Rome is, right? If you end up through that tunnel of light and you cross over, you're in Rome. Okay. The other saying about when in Rome, do as the Romans do. Well, okay. So if I was born on this life path, oh, interesting fact. Sometimes you can be born into a family of teachers, or you might be born into a family of lawyers, or you might be born into a family of musicians. Haven't you seen these things happen? Or you might be born into a family of artists. My mother was an artist, and I still have a lot of artistic abilities. In fact, Steve Jobs once said, if it hadn't been for all those calligraphy and art classes I took, you wouldn't have these beautiful fonts in the computer today. Interesting thought. So no knowledge ever gets wasted, and he managed to use the classes that he took in the design of the system for the computers. People who didn't learn calligraphy, who are making signs, make some really boring signs. So calligraphy could be something, could be a thing, could be nice for beautifying the world. We need artists, we need spokespeople, we need politicians who are willing to get out there and go, here are the causes that no one talks about, and we need to shine some light on that. We need people who do taxes, accountants, people who will sit there with spreadsheets and calculators. We need people to drive trucks and deliver food. We need people to pack the food. We need people to stock the warehouses. We need people who unpack the trucks and bring all that into the store so that you can find it. We need people to price those objects. We need people to bring the shopping carts back in so that you can get your groceries. Do you see any positions in society that are demeaning or that are less worthy of respect? Because even the guy who's standing out there in the parking lot collecting your carts, he's doing a job. I talked to a man once who was limping, and he's walking through the cart, and he's walking through the parking lot collecting carts. I'm standing back there watching him, and I noticed that he was limping. And I couldn't help but walk up and say, "Hi, I'm a Reiki healer. Can I help you with that foot?" And he was really taken aback, and he goes, "This foot's been killing me for a while. I have neuropathy." And I said, "Let me see if I can help." And he actually let me do a healing on his foot. I guess motivation is when you're ready to change, change comes to you. And if you're stuck in what you're doing, you will open the door to more opportunities. It's a chance to learn. So while I'm talking to him about what exactly Reiki is and how a person visualizes things, and hopefully leaving him with some takeaways, some tools he can use for himself, how nice it felt to him that someone actually noticed. And it always helps if you smile at somebody or notice what they're going through. And you see that woman who's trying to buy something at the register, but she doesn't quite have enough money to make it go. And I chip in some money. I mean, I saw a lady who was right after me. I was bagging my stuff and putting it in the cart when I noticed that she doesn't have enough money, and she's having this conversation with the cashier. So while I was still there, I just opened my wallet and slipped some money, and I pointed, like that, and then I walked away. So he applied that money to her bill. It was silent. It was not a big announcement. But I think that's the way that I make donations. I make them in person and on the spot, and when I see something. I'm not really big on donating to, the World Fund. In fact, I actually saw somebody who was trying to recruit for job positions, and they were talking about how they collect money for nonprofits. And then this lady starts talking about children who have issues and people with cancer in the world and needy, blah, 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 blah. And she's on a Zoom video with me and two other guys trying to figure out if we want to be part of her pop-up campaign to hit people up for cash and sign them up for donations for nonprofits, quote unquote. I thought that's like those people that hold up a sign with somebody's sick baby so they can collect a bunch of money. And I think it was 60 Minutes, followed them home and find out they have a Mercedes and they live in a giant house and there aren't even any children in there. But the picture will get them a bunch of cash, and it's unreported income, and they're raking in $400 a day. It's a good scam when you can pull it off. So I imagined with 3 people, they could collect $1,200 a day, and then she's going to pay those people $900 a week. That's 27. Okay, but now what's 1,200 times 7 days or 5 days? And how much of that is she skimming off the top if she's going to keep 70% for herself? How much did she keep? And then when she's all done, she can go, and here's a $20 donation to save the whales that I can write off on my tax. And the rest of it is her overhead and her profit. That's a good scam. It didn't seem like a real business to me. It looked like a scam. I think there's a want for a person to take a job like that because they have self-esteem issues, and are they so naive that they don't know that they're about to be used, or they're so desperate that they think that getting any kind of money is money enough. And this lady who's running this business, knowing she's scamming and knowing she's cheating, and somehow is rationalizing why it's okay to do that to other people, to use them at your own expense. I have issues with that. I guess it's because I am a light warrior. I'm a gatekeeper. I am a person who's trying to raise the vibration of the planet. I'm trying to bring positive energy. I'm trying to bring self-awareness. And so I want these teachings and these things that I share to reflect self-awareness. When you're watching my videos, my goal is to connect the dots with what goes on in society, to help bring understanding and choices, to help alignment, and especially to help the soul tribe to find each other. So Soul Bridge, as I explained before, is connection with what's going on this side and what's going on that side, and those spiritual energies that are bombarding our planet now, how to connect you to it, how to help you connect yourself to it, how to help you be in alignment with yourself, to raise your energy, to raise your frequency, to bring you up to a point where you can perceive more of what's happening around you. That is my goal. If I accomplish that with these videos in any way, then please like, share, subscribe, bring your family in, bring your soul tribe in. You're one of us, Soul Bridge tribe. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you again.